So as a recruiter, as a HR person, how do you see that? If you see this resume, this is the best resume, then let's connect with this guy.
A resume which clicks into recruiters' eyes is something
Stand
we
out.
should say is like good resume.
Like what will be a process of background verification? It will be easily identified, or you give to an agency. Like if freshers are coming, okay, so freshers are you wanted to join in the organization. What talent, what kind of skill set that you guys will see in the freshers? Like experienced candidate, they're having a certain package, right? So they ask some, they'll come up with some package. So I'm expectation is X amount, and you have some XYZ amount. Like how to negotiate with the HR people for the salaries?
See, frankly, I mean, from the HR perspective, I'll tell you first, then I can tell you from the candidate's perspective. So when you want to start a career into HR, be open to learn first. And you know that, you're not working here for money.
So usually this consulting companies or recruiting company, what is the percentage they charge? Is it charged through from a person candidate, or is it from the company? This AI is doing a 10 people job. He is putting a one person to operate an AI, and they are doing a 9 jobs. In which industry or which role is giving you high paying salaries? HR అనగానే everyone is got fear. HR round అనగానే చాలా భయం అందరికి.
You can say HR is the domain. In that you have all these activities.
And their salaries are way higher.
See, that's the most trickiest level of hiring.
Yeah.
The freshers. I learned, very fascinating C, C++, Java and all. When I came out and, started looking for jobs, I need to offer certain amount, then only I can be participating in that particular campus interview. Follow a pattern, like, the content of the resume. Content is still the later point. The format of the resume, number of pages of the resume, what are written as like the constant things of hobbies, like everybody says music, reading books, and
Exactly.
playing cricket. That's a standard hobby line. That okay, you are helping me for this particular service, I'll pay you some nominal amount for these kind of hirings. So if you are ready for getting benefited, you should be ready for getting the losses also.
Yeah, that's true. How to negotiate with the HR people for the salaries?
So from the candidate perspective, negotiation starts based on his interview. But if you're confident about your skills and see that you should be recognized and you grow with the company, you should choose a startup.
Do you give a priority for like tier 1 colleges or tier 2 colleges? Hi guys, welcome to my podcast channel Keep It Real with Shiva Bhavani. Today we have Vinay Kotra from BigLeap Technology. Hi Vinay. Thank you so
Hi.
much for joining this
Thanks, Shiva.
podcast.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
Vinay.
inviting me.
And so first basic question that I have. HR అనగానే everyone is got feared. Like initially when I was doing my first job in 2014, HR round అనగానే చాలా భయం అందరికి. అరే HR round లో ఏముంటుందో, ఎంత ప్యాకేజెస్ అడుగుతారో, వాళ్ళు మన కమ్యూనికేషన్ స్కిల్స్ చూస్తారా. So in your perspective, what do you mean by HR? Like how you are saying yourself, and what sort of skill set you will see on the candidates?
That's a very large question as such. I mean, like, and I will split it into a couple of smaller questions on that. So HR is a demon for operations. He's a god for job seekers. On the floor, he's again the devil's advocate. Has to play a role between the management and the candidates as such, right? If you look at it from last 10-15 years back, the perception what you had, kind of okay. HR is working more like a salesperson. What HR does basically is represents his or her company in front of the candidates. He tries to sell the position. That's because of demand and supply gap predominantly. So the actual HR flavor, what we had tasted it 5 years back, 10 years back, kind of a thing, is not there currently. It's as good as a PR person or a salesperson, for any company as such. So, and with the technology kicking in, typically what has happened is it's more of an operations role rather than anything to do with human resource, HR jargon as such. Typically for a company, HR is the face of the company's cultures, then company's values, the mission behind it, bridging between what the candidate wants, what the company wants, and what the hiring managers want. So it's a multi, faceted role as such. So when you call it as typical HR, he is jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
So he would know everything, right from technology to operations to admin to payroll to recruitment. But specialized, I don't think anyone has that kind of a
That's kind of
specialized.
sales it.
So that's how the industry has changed over last 10, 15 years as such. Earlier, it used to be like, fixed. He's a
Proper
recruitment
HR.
manager. He'll be, growing as a recruitment manager. A payroll manager grows as a payroll manager. Now, people start as
One-stop
like,
solution
yes,
for everything.
everything.
What makes a best CV, best resume? How we can, if you see this resume, this is the best resume, then let's connect with this guy.
So see, resume reflects what the person is.
True.
The very first thing is the hygiene of the resume. If you talk about current freshers, the same tier 1, tier 2, discussion if we are doing, a tier 2 resume versus a tier 1 resume, you can differentiate straight away.
In the freshers also we can identify.
Yes, very much, very clearly. Like, they'll follow a pattern, like, the content of the resume. Content is still the later point, the format of the resume, number of pages of the resume, what are written as like, the constant things of hobbies, like everybody says music, reading books, and playing cricket. That's a standard hobby line. So what is the project? They would have given the title of the project as such. They would not mention anything as such. So there's nothing like this is a good resume, this is a bad resume. A resume which clicks into recruiters' eyes is something we should say is like good resume. The very first thing what you should have on the resume is like clear cut information about your contact details, your basic skills, your basic education, and your achievements. Because as a fresher, nobody is looking at your project. They would not expect a fresher guy to have done a real time project and then enable that skills in the company. So your achievements, whatever achievements you would have done, it can be sports, it can be studies, it can be anything on social things as such. You would have organized a good blood donation camp. That is also your achievement. So that shows your leadership skills, your organizational skills. So those kind of things you should mention in your resume, and it should not go beyond 1 or 2 pages max. Second page is also not being looked at, because the eye time what you get for a resume is hardly 3 to 5 seconds in front of a recruiter. So in that 3 to 5 seconds, they cannot browse through the second page also. When you're looking at a job as a fresher, the very first thing is like you prepare your resume word by word, line by line, page by page. You should not copy paste.
So example, if an experienced guy is there, experienced guy having a gap in between, like 1 year gap or 6 months back, 6 months gap or 8 months gap or 2 years gap. So as a recruiter, as a HR person, how do you see that? So it might having some medical emergencies or family issues. These gaps will matter in the recruiting that person.
So as long as you're honest as a candidate and puts across your actual reason why you had a gap, recruiters would not mind that.
So when you said the screening, how this background verification will be done? Like what will be a process of background verification? It will be easily identified, or you give to an agency?
So there are agencies which are exclusively doing background checks. So any staffing companies will not be doing background checks.
Okay.
For a company also, company will not do it on their own. They give it to agencies. So there are third-party agencies which does all the background checks. So there are different types of background checks. Basically, the companies want their only education to be checked. They give it for that. They want their experience to be checked. They give it for that. They, some companies, they want their education, experience, legal, then, criminal profile, then social profile, everything. So depending on what is the client need, these agencies do that activity.
And what is the general difference between recruiter and an HR? There's a small difference. Like when I heard with my friends, they said recruiter is only hiring, kind of a thing. And what do you mean by HR? HR is also comes under recruiting part itself, right?
See, it's the domain. No, you can say HR is the domain. In that you have all these activities, right?
Okay.
Recruitment, operations, comp and ben, performance management. Then you can say exit policies and policy making. So in that, recruitment is one function. So one who's a recruiter would actually take care of the recruitment process, and in doing so, his domain is all revolving around getting the job mandates, getting the hiring managers inputs, getting the candidates on board, doing the scouting, getting them to do the interviews, do the offer letters, and then put it onto the operation so that they'll take care of the joining formalities and induction and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, but it is again, as I said, the gap has narrowed to like almost that recruiter is handling everything.
Exactly.
Right from sourcing till exit point of view.
Now, if I see this, like HR industry is going very narrow down. So, in terms of career wise, it's very difficult. Like people are getting a jobs in a HR field, and if you are getting an HR job, and the salaries and the basic salaries are
Quite
very less.
Yes.
Example, consider a BTech background is doing a software engineering, or consider a marketing from a tier 1 college, and their salaries are way higher. And coming to the HR, if it's from bigger college also, the salary structure for the HR is it's way lesser compared to the
Yeah. So what business has done over the years is like HR has always been seen as a support function. It was never a production team, right? So as business owners, people are now realizing that if they have a HR who's just functioning as a support function, then they are screwed royally in the longer run.
yeah.
So if they don't understand business and they just say that okay, I need a software engineer. So where do I get a software engineer? If I we take in Hyderabad context, you go to Amirpet, you go to any of the institutes and say that I need 10 testing guys. They'll send you 10 testing guys, and they'll somehow click and they'll be on board. But as an HR who doesn't understand business, he or she would have hired these folks. But these guys would have not done anything real in their career, and they just are joining just for the sake of joining. So then the business owners, when they give them the actual work, the quality hampers. So they don't understand the timelines, they don't understand the project management schedule, they don't understand the different tools and all. So, and moreover, the culture of the company. Now, that's the most important thing, what they should have. But if you have some HR who understands your business and understands that, okay, my timeline is 3 months, and I need to have a talent acquisition plan. Okay, for someone who's onboarded in May, I need to start working from Jan. Then I need to have a plan. I need to have scouting. Then there'll be real candidates will come. They'll have a notice period to serve. They'll join us. Some may not join. There's a lot of offer declines which happens in the industry. So if you don't have that HR who understands business, then automatically the entire business cycle gets disturbed.
Absolutely.
So off late in last 5-6 years, what is happening is like people are aligned with the businesses, and HR is part of the main functions. So though it was called as like support function, now it is the mainline function as such, because matching the demand with the supply, HR only does. So
any question, anything requirement, call HR.
Yes.
Like if freshers are coming, okay, so freshers are you wanted to join in the organization. What talent, what kind of skill set that you guys will see in the freshers?
See, that's the most trickiest level of hiring. The freshers.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. Like, if it's an experienced candidate, you can see this experience and you can communicate with what sort of skill set you have. Fresher would be a little challenging because you don't know anything. You directly coming out of from the college, want to join in the organization, but he's also will become very under confidence. Yeah, a questions adutaru. What sort of questions will HR ask? How much salary? The people don't have an idea what is a normal structure is there. The salary structure is there. How much we can expect. Like some HR will directly ask if his person negotiation is also there, right? Freshers will not have a negotiation, but people will expect some salary.
True. So from the freshers point of view, the most important factor for any fresher while looking for a job should not be the salary. That's the last point which should come to their mind, because as a fresher, the opportunity to learn and work and grow in their respective domain should be the first priority for them. And even from the company's perspective also, that's what they look at. Is this guy trainable? How fast can he learn? How better he will perform? Will he have the commitment to stay with me? Will he have the commitment to execute the projects as such? So these are the basic things what we look for any freshers as such. No, salary is almost the last part, because at a fresher level, most of the companies have a fixed bands.
Correct.
That okay, when I'm hiring from a college or from off campus or something like that, I'll be giving him X amount only. So there is no part of negotiation, or there is no part of increasing or decreasing the salary as such. So from the HR point of view, the trainability and the learning attitude of the candidate is most important. And as a fresher, if you start talking about, okay, what will be my package as the first question, that's the first rejection point for any fresher.
Okay, like is percentage matters when you hire a person in the freshers I'm talking about?
Depends, depends on the company and the kind of projects they'll be put on to. So, for example, if industry is typically categorized into three categories, product, services, and shared services. So, when you talk about product companies, the companies look at people who have high skills in terms of analytical skills and problem solving skills and coming up with good data structures and all that. So if you look at that kind of a category, yes, percentages matter, because they would have that basic screening mechanism. I'll not say that lower grads are bad as such with lower CGP or something, but at least to filter down the candidates, that's a good benchmark.
Okay.
And so product companies, they look for people from premier institutes, right, from IITs, NITs, triple ITs, and all that, so that they are trained during their course itself to be analytical, to solve problems, to create solutions, to create products and all. So that helps them to make that hiring decision faster. So and at a fresher pool, I mean, in Telangana itself, we have almost like 4.5 lakh students a year who are passing out in engineering grads. So if we don't have a filtering process, so just it will be a nightmare for the any HR of any company. So that's the filtering kind. But from a services point of view, it's not that much matter. For services, they look at communication, then commitment, then look at how good they are adaptable to any kind of a situation. So that's what the services companies look at. Shared services is a mix of both. So freshers should look at basis their current skills and self-assessment. Where do they want to go?
Example, consider the BTech guy who wants to do a job. The only mode a place so you don't have a proper direction also.
Exactly.
So I wanted to go in testing, or I wanted to go in this field. At the end of the day, he get whatever his job, he'll go it. Like the majority of the people. If you get a sales job also, these guys are going.
Right.
Current generation. Because as you mentioned, like yearly there's a 4.5 lakh people are coming out after doing in a BTech. The percentage of jobs are there in Hyderabad, it's around like 25% of jobs are there. The remaining people are doing whatever comes like sales also they are doing.
See, that's the basic problem what we've been facing, not now, but over the last 20 years also. When I passed out of my engineering also, there was nothing like industry college collaboration. So industries hire as per their standards, colleges train as per their standards, and curriculum and industry are totally different.
Yeah, exactly.
So people coming out, so when I studied my computer science, I learned very fascinating C, C++, Java and all. When I came out and started looking for jobs, the C what I learned, nobody is using in the industry.
Exactly.
The C++ what I learned, nobody is using in the industry. There are other tools for which there are again training institutes and all that. The take what lucky enough to have clocked the campus interviews or something like that, then it's fine. But if they are in the market and trying for jobs, they should learn for skills which are necessary for any of the job interviews as such.
Do you give a priority for bigger colleges, like tier 1 colleges or tier 2 colleges? So the people generally, when I'm from tier 2 college, I'm from Hyderabad normal college. I did my MBA. I went for job in Bangalore. I was working. My package is good enough, and with the same skill set, it came from bigger college like tier 1 college. His package are triple than me. Okay, coming to the skill set is a similar.
Similar.
So do you also judge the college wise as well?
So how it happens, Shiva, is like, when you prioritize your, talent acquisition plan, when you create positions in the company. So depending on the kind of projects they are to be placed, you are actually categorizing your hiring mandates. So as I said, like, if a company can have a product team, can have a service team. So if they are looking at a hiring for a product, they would want that, basic nourishing to be better. When they are hiring for services, they look at, if in your language, if I have to say, for product hiring, they look at tier 1 colleges. For services hiring, they look at tier 2 colleges.
Okay.
But once they are on the floor, it's all their performance. So I need to offer certain amount, then only I can be participating in that particular campus interview. So I don't do off campus of IIT, but I do campus of IIT. So if I have to participate, then there is a competition among the companies to hire the best talent.
Absolutely.
So there is a day 0 hiring, day 1 hiring, day 2 hiring. The moment you are beyond day 2, then you are like a normal company for the candidates.
Yeah.
So that's the strategy. So while hiring, yes, as you said, tier 1 gets higher package, tier 2 gets lower package. But on the floor, if they are performing equal, then there is a parity. If the tier 2 guy is performing better, he can grow further, and that creates a cultural difference for sure. As long as there is no transparency on the floor.
And so you are in the industry, right? Basic question. Yeah, now AI also came into the picture, right? Like for past 4-5 months, there is a website called Kick Resume. Okay, you can give a basic information like your name, email ID, phone number, and the percentage. It automatically create a beautiful resumes. So maybe we need to use that as well.
Yeah. So so now technology helps you everywhere. So it's much easier to create content at this moment rather than thinking and wasting time on copying and pasting. And
exactly. I was working in the digital agency in Bangalore. I used to get a resumes. Okay, in the portal, I used to get some resumes. I saw the normal service guy ka resume. It be in a white paper, proper written, well written, experienced. When it comes to a design perspective, design resumes, they have a beautiful, they create a video also through the resume.
Exactly.
And they do a PPTs, they do an animation with their resumes. And when I saw that first time, when I saw that resume, I felt, wow, it's amazing, man. Like automatically you can see this talent.
True, but no, given again, being AI forefront for screening the resumes and all, I would say such kind of resumes would not be picked up by the system. AI picks up on keywords, AI picks up on technology skills, those kind of things. So when you try to create JPG image of your resume or hi-fi design of the flow or something like that, AI cannot recognize those designs. And it will only try to pick up the content part of it. If the content is not correct, however beautiful your resume is, the system will not pick. So it will not fall into the recruiter's eyes. If you understand how AI works, then only your resume can be.
To go with AI.
Yeah. So that's why you need to be in tandem with the technology as such.
But like startup companies or small companies, I'll say, they don't have a budget to spend on background check also, right? Now do we
see? That's where again, like the tools which are there, which are publicly available as such to screen through the profiles, does the hygiene check as well. But any startup company which is looking for a bigger vision, ideally gets it checked through an agency. For an example, someone tells me that I was working in XYZ company and my salary was getting credited in, let's say, Axis Bank. I mean, we should not take brand names, but some A bank as such. So I would have at least 1 or 2 contacts in almost all banks, where I can just call up and just confirm whether this account exists or there is a transaction on this as such. And when we are not looking for a official statement from them, they'll tell over the call. Nee, this is not looking genuine, or this is not actual statement or something like that.
Yes, Vinegar. So recently, there's a lot of scams are happening on jobs. Okay, they're asking around like 20,000 pay JND, background 20,000 pay JND. We'll get you a job in Wipro, ITC gani, LNT gani. There's a lot of emails are coming up, and the people are calling. My background lepistanu, my skill set team avasram ledu. You just need to pay 60,000 rupees or 6 lakh rupees. there's a lot of scams are happening. As a industry leader, మీరు ఎలా దాన్ని చెప్తారు, లైక్ ఇలా స్కామ్స్ కాకుండా ఎలా ఉండొచ్చు?
Okay, so these kind of scams are not new for the industry as such. I mean, if you are aware of Hyderabad market in the last 15 years, 4 to 5 bigger scams like this have come to foreground, wherein there was company set up, they had all the systems and everything in place. They used to hire from campuses, take 1 lakh 2 lakhs or something for each candidate, and then make them sit for 3 months, and then they used to say that we don't have project, and you leave or something like that. That's how it started as such. But from the candidates point of view, they have to be very sure. None of the companies anywhere would like to hire a candidate through background, or what do you call it, as not through a regular process. So if somebody is coming and telling that, okay, no, I'll get job in Wipro or XYZ company, and you pay me 2 lakhs 1 lakh, whatever it is, be it be 1,000 also, it's fake. It's a single statement, it's fake. Because companies, if they are hiring freshers, there are only two channels. One, they go to campuses. Otherwise, they do an off-campus in
their
post
office.
That, okay, you are helping me for this particular service, I'll pay you some nominal amount for these kind of hirings. So candidates are not expected to pay in any case. So be it be off campus or on campus as such. And for normal jobs, which is like experienced or a fake experience or something like that, they say that I'll get you a job in any of the companies. Please don't even fall for that particular trap. So freshers
And like,
have to be careful.
they are getting a proper emails from their domain itself.
See, email phishing is a subject which I don't think we should talk in 2023.
Yeah. But they are, I saw one case, like initial round is happened, it seems, like technical web round itself. They asked, it's kind, you are okay, we can go for another round, but you need to pay like 60,000 rupees. So once you start joining the company, we'll pay you 60,000 back. So this
All
process
these
has also
schemes-
happened.
No, all these schemes are fake schemes only, Shiva. Because see, what happens is that domain mail coming in is not nothing new. I mean, we also get so many mails as such from different companies. Coca-Cola scam is the biggest.
Yeah, it's the biggest scam.
So
in 2017, even I used to get a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
You won 1 crore lottery prize.
Yes. So those are new, not new. And telephonic interviews, see, there can be a basic screening. If the HR is real, the person who's calling, they would be more than happy to give that mail ID.
Sure.
So that they see the interest in the candidate. If the candidate is asking questions back to the HR would always be interested to talk to them more. That's one strategy what freshers need to see, that they should not only prepare for answers, they should prepare for questions. The right questions when you ask the HR, okay, you tell me what is that I'll be working on. The HR should, they'll say that, okay, this guy is interested to work in my company, that's why he's asking me questions as to what he will work on. The only question every candidate asks is like, what is my package?
Yeah.
And that pisses the HR to the most.
Like before COVID, everyone used to go for office. Now people are habituated to do work from home. So even in my organization, the people are hiring in new persons. There's a lot of like 70% of people who are looking for work from home. Now, as a industry leader, you tell me work from home is better or work from office is better or hybrid?
Again, so this depends on the domain. So if you're working on any kind of a typical services, wherein you are client facing, or you're on calls for some discussions, or you're giving some product informations to some clients or something like that, then I would say they should work from office, because at home they'll not have that professional environment. So COVID has given an opportunity for the companies, for small size companies, to reduce on operational costs by hiring these remote workers as such. At the same time, we as industry, we feel that when you're giving an opportunity to a candidate to work from home, he should be, again, honest. The problem why the entire debate of coming back to office or hybrid or only from office is happening is because of lack of that honesty. Most of the candidates, what they're doing is like, he accepts a job from you, he accepts a job from me, he accepts a job from some other person, and he's managing his time saying like, I am at home, there is a emergency or there is something like that, and he's doing 2 to 3 jobs. Moonlighting.
Yeah.
That's typically the hot topic what it was in 2022 as such.
Now also there's a lot of people are doing.
Yes, they are. I mean, I know my own circle who are working for US, working for India.
Yeah.
So because COVID, what has taught to the companies is digitization is the future. So work has increased. So accordingly, the skills which are to be there in the candidates are not available. They are okay. If my work is delivered, I'm okay to pay him half the salary and make him as a freelancer.
So is it is moonlighting is okay with the organizations?
Most of the organizations no. If it is informed and if it is a policy, they don't allow it. Moonlighting is allowed when the domain is different.
Okay.
Like for example, I'm a blogger and I'm also a software engineer, right? So I don't have a problem. As a company, I don't have a problem to hire someone who's a blogger as well as a software engineer. But if you're a software engineer for me as Wipro and you're a software engineer for Tech Mahindra also as a consultant or something like that, then it is a problem.
True.
Because there is a...
Like as an example, if a person is doing software engineering or something like that, again he's starting a one company or the startup company in other field, maybe it may be a restaurant, it may be some other industry, it'd be okay.
That should not be a problem as long as his deliverables are fine. He's not having a dual employment. See, moonlighting in India specifically, we don't have the laws as of yet. Amended. The new labor code is trying to amend on that, but in US it is properly legal. So there's nothing, no problem as such. The company might take example. So I'm working in X company as a full-time employee, and there is another company came into the picture. They say we'll not give you any employment. You work as a freelance. We'll give you half of the salary. Okay. Here is not doing a employment. He's doing kind of a freelance, but he's doing the same job. Right. Like what software is doing. Is it a moonlight? It is moonlight. So he cannot do the same set of work. It is moonlight. Okay, but in terms of agreement, he's not done any kind of agreements or maybe a written. See, bypassing laws is the best possible option in India. We should not talk wrong about it. But we as people, if we are following laws properly, then that is illegal. But there are many ways people are bypassing that, and they are doing. It's and the companies are also okay with it because they are not getting the right set of and the coming to the packages also. If deliverables are coming, they are paying half of it. The end of the day, like companies are getting advantaged of it. Companies are getting benefited in a way, but they are spoiling their own culture. Yeah, so today you say that I'm hiring a freelancer who would do at half the cost. Tomorrow the other employee will start. Your full-time employee also will start some freelancer. No? Yeah, that's true. Okay, so like experienced candidate, they're having a certain package, right? So they ask they'll come up with some package. So I'm expectation is X amount, and you have some XYZ amount. Like as an industry leader, how do you suggest to the peoples like us or anyone from in my organization how to negotiate with the HR people for the salaries? See, frankly, I mean, from the HR perspective, I'll tell you first, then I can tell you from the candidate's perspective. Okay. For every position, there is a budget which is marked. Right, and HR always starts at 20 or 30% lesser than that budget. Okay, so that he or she gives the negotiation space to the candidate. See, so from the candidate perspective, negotiation starts based on his interview. So if he has been interviewed and all the interviews are done really well, then the hiring manager says, "I need this guy at any cost." So the HR starts at 20% lesser. Or sends him one offer of, let's say, I mean, for an example, 10,000, and he says no, I want 13,000 or 14,000 or something like that. The HR comes back and say, no, okay, I'll give you 12,000. Let's close it. So from a candidate perspective, he's happy. He's happy. They start explaining you about the project. They start explaining you about the culture of the company. They start explaining you that, okay, you'll be in this particular team. This is the working hours. There are 3 males, 4 females in that particular team. All these details, if they start giving you, that means they have liked you. And that's what the information gets passed on to the HR. So then the HR does their job to try to, they also have to live with their KRAs. So they'll say okay, I'll cut on some budget and then give you some bonus on joining, which is not a long-term cost for the company, but an interim cost as such. So playing around with the numbers as such. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. I'm also a little assumption. When I was in the second job, I negotiated a lot, but still they have some certain budget, it seems. Right.
they come down to the whatever they used to do. Okay, so like startups, like kind of a freshers. So this happens, right? If two companies are given, one is a big company, like big four company, maybe a Deloitte or any big company like Amazon. Okay, and there is a startup company. There's a product company. They are preferring all the students or people who hired, like only preferring a big companies, not small companies. As a neutral point of view, do you prefer big companies or like a startup companies, the product based company?
So that depends on the kind of role you are being offered. I'll like give you a classic example of my brother. So he's a QA head with one of the fintech companies as such. So while he was interviewing for this particular company where he's currently working, so he had an offer from Amazon.
Okay.
So Amazon is an ocean.
It's a big ocean.
So in that ocean, you're a very small fish. So as an aspiration, if you just want a brand to be tagged to you as a employee, you might as well choose Amazon. But if you're confident about your skills and see that you should be recognized and you grow with the company, you should choose a startup. And that's what my brother did, and he joined this fintech company as such. So within 2.5 years, he became from senior QA to QA head.
Yeah. So and the growth is also being faster in
right.
startups.
Exactly. And the kind of learning what they get in startups is pretty higher. But only thing to be cautious is like what is the vision of that particular startup. So there are many companies which just start and then they close. So that should not be a career mistake where you're choosing a startup because of your passion, but the startup founder doesn't have the passion. Then you're again
okay, what generally the person needs to see before going to that company?
So when you're looking at startup, typically as such, you should first looking at what is the product, what is the use cases of the product, is this product scalable from the product point of view, technology is what they are using, who are the people they have hired, what is the profile of the founder, the next on the profiling, then the culture, what are they trying to build, is it like too much of a 24/7 job what they are trying to do or something like that. Then what are the rounds of funding they have got. So depending on those things, you can choose a startup as such. So when you want to start a career into HR, you should be open to learn first, and you know that you're not working here for money.
And HR also a lot of powers actually. Like everyone, if I say I'll complain in HR, like freshers mindset, I'm saying
Exactly.
Experience will not take too much of HR, but the freshers will complain HR, will talk to HR.
Right.
So that authoritative power, that powers will be there for HR.
Right.
And so which one, as a career wise, which one having a better future? Is it a recruiting? Is it a HR operational?
See,
is
an
it
HR person should, as I said, should be jack of all trades. An HR in current industry scenario cannot say that I'm a recruiter, I want to be a recruiter alone. Because recruiter, if you're looking at as being a recruiter, your scope in the entire industry remains only outside cabin. Like, you're only meeting candidates, you're talking to them, you're arranging the interviews, you're, following up and all that. You have to get into the business and grow. You need to know all the flavors of HR. That is when you grow in your career.
So usually this consulting companies or recruiting company, what is the percentage they charge? Or is it charged through from a person, candidate, or is it from the company?
No, none of the consulting companies, genuine consulting companies, charge from candidates.
Okay.
They don't charge anything from the candidates. It is always client paid.
Okay.
You place them, as I told, even for the freshers, if we are helping for off campuses, we are paid by the company.
But there is a myth is there, like everyone is saying, consulting will take some percentage from the candidate.
No, so that's where. So there are some notorious companies which in the past have done that, saying like in contracting, I'll place you for a 6 months contract and you get 50K, you have to pay me 25K and 25K.
Exactly.
So those kind of situations have happened, keep happening, and we cannot remove them from the system as such. But as a candidate, if you're confident about your skills and your experience as such, I don't think paying anything to the consulting makes any sense. So only those cases happens when your experience is not correct. You have just trained and trying to put up some kind of a fake experience on your resume and getting into a job through a contractor. then you tend to get all those options, and you try to avail those options as such. But otherwise, none of the recruiting firms or search firms charge anything from the candidates. Even as a contracting payroll thing also, there's nothing to be charged from the candidates.
Now everyone is afraid of this recession. Everyone is saying currently jobs are not there. There's a lot of recessions going in US, and there we recently see some recession happen in India. Like people are thinking there's a worse will come in future. What do you think in this industry?
Okay, so there are PR agencies like yours, who get some job from some clients. They'll say like, okay, you just post that we are hiring aggressively.
Yeah, we do
you
that.
do a campaign saying like you're hiring aggressively, and there are 1,000 positions which we are looking to hire for my client, or the client says but actually is that company hiring 1,000 positions? No. You do a PR noise that okay, the company is hiring 1,000 positions. They might be hiring 10 positions. So during the COVID, what happened is like every company was trying to shed its weight, which they would have acquired before COVID. That gave us a chance to actually shape up. So every company in the software industry will have a bench, and that was an overhead cost. So when you are utilizing your bench for some productive work, it's okay. But when you are not utilizing, it's a cost for the company.
Absolutely.
So, and when you remove your bench, try to get trim and slim, the media says that okay, that company has removed 1,000 people.
But this happened post COVID itself. There's the majority of the companies. I'll say if you consider big companies, right from Google, whichever company you take.
So like the US headquartered companies, they did the same thing. Like during the COVID, the first wave of COVID, US administration announced X amount for corporations which had like so many people, such kind of a turnover and all that. So they hired aggressively to increase their costs, and accordingly they got grants from the company. I mean, from the government. Post COVID, what has happened is like that is all becoming a cost for them.
Yeah.
So they cut that particular flab as such. So when you do that, obviously all these companies, they made millions and millions from the grants. So to cut that cost post COVID, they are removing all these people whom they have hired to better their balance sheets. So the media, it is showing, they'll not show the business side of it. They'll always show the people side of it. They'll not say that the balance sheet got improved with 10% profit. Now the bottom line is 15%. They'll always say like they've removed 10,000 people.
Yeah,
because that's a mass communication what goes through. And if you look at the same thing in India, it has not happened. There is no mass layoffs in India.
Yeah.
Indian company, whichever the US companies were having their GCCs or shared offices here in India, they have only done that, and that is again the same cost.
Applicable cost applicable there.
So recession in true sense for US, it was there for a brief time. I mean 6 to 10 months. Hiring is pretty much happening in US also. They also printed too much of money, so obviously they had to see that recession part. We did not print anything, so we are not seeing that.
Yeah. And in AI also, like people are also afraid of the second most thing. Now AI is there in the place. Because of AI, the people will lose the job. Like in some cases, it's happening, but not 100%. Like human is necessary, but people are afraid of AI more now.
What is AI? It is artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Who's training that system? Humans only. If humans are removed, how will the system learn? Yeah,
so humans will be not removed, but example, I saw somewhere some video. So example, there's a 10 people are 10 employees are there, okay, and there's a one AI implemented. That's cost is around like 2,000 rupees. The subscription cost. This AI is doing a 10 people job. He's putting a one person to operate an AI, and they are doing a 9 jobs.
That's a myth. See, AI is doing automation and doing the things better than humans in some cases. When there are things which are monotonous, when there are things related to heavier physical intervention of humans, like let's say data entry or data scanning or data conversion or these kind of activities, yes, AI is doing, but that will not remove core jobs of the humans. Okay. So For a company, when AI technology was not there, that work was to be done by 10 people, as you said. But when the technology is there, that can be done by one person. That 9 people who are being removed, the industry will have further scope of hiring those 9 people. It is not because we still lack a lot of skilled manpower.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the demand is always there. You only look at these 9 jobs being removed, but there are 90 jobs which are available which are not being filled. So either the people who are being removed, they should upskill them, they should get trained for the 90 jobs which are available. Then again 81 jobs are still available. We're only talking about these 9 jobs being removed from this particular entity, but whereas those 90 jobs which are available which are not getting, if you're not ready to learn and not ready to upskill yourself and make yourself industry ready, then obviously you'll be losing the job.
That's there. Like if you go with the big companies like TCS or Wipro or Wells Fargo, like people think that's a government jobs. Like they'll join and they stay for 10 years. They'll not upskill their skills. They'll stay in the company.
Exactly. And that's when, if there is some good automation tool which comes in and says that, okay, for 200 people, 20 people can do the job, media will say 180 people are removed.
This, that, yeah.
So that's the industry standard. So people need to upskill themselves because technology is changing every day. Forget about every year. New tools are coming up every day. New startups are creating too many products. So if you are not aware of the technology which is happening, then you would be, staying backward only. And if you're staying backward, no company would want to have, Java now. Nobody says that, okay, I'm competent in Java 1.4, which I learned in my, college.
In 2000s, yeah.
So nobody has heard of that particular version in current generation as such. So for them, it is like, they enter some code and the entire code is itself written by the system. So we used to write 1,000 lines of code. Now nobody writes a 1,000-line code.
Yeah. That also, like AI is giving an entire code
exactly
nowadays. So you are in the industry, right? In which industry or which role is giving you high-paying salaries? Which
that's
technology?
A little tricky question to answer because the industries which are hyped up are software. When you talk about software as such, everybody says like AI, data sciences are the most paid jobs as such. But on the contrary, if you look at it, if you are skilled in any of the skills and are able to manage a team and grow up the ladder, high paying jobs are there for even testing guys, which was supposedly considered as a low paying job early. Now you learn automation, you learn Python, and do start automated testing. You're sort of or any of the DevOps guys as such.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like high paying skill as such. It's only about learning multiple technologies and trying to implement multiple technologies. You are getting AI and data sciences are fields which are going to stay. It is pretty new. So even the hiring managers are not aware what should they question these guys. So then they say, okay, give them a little higher and hire them. At least I can say in my team I have 2 AI scientists or data scientists. So that's
yeah. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you so much. Thank you joining
my pleasure,
for my podcast.